Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy the Game Master and welcome again to my channel, and I'm going to be doing another rant about EA Electronic Arts and explaining why you're seeing my face. I decided to get a webcam. I decided my artwork was getting in the way of my message, getting in the way of people communicating with me, just judging from my responses when I used my artwork versus when I didn't. So I want to try to use this and see if I can't connect to more people. I'm new with using a camera, and a lot of the software I bought with this camera doesn't exactly work with my old software, so I'm going to have to start experimenting with a few things. Hopefully, once I record the new footage, I can go back into my old software to actually edit game clips together, because I do enjoy using Adobe Premiere Elements. However, it just doesn't like to work with my webcam. But it'll be interesting until I figure out what's the best software I can use. Hopefully, not spending too much money on it, and what I can do from here. But anyways, I'm here to rant about something I saw this evening when I came home. Something that made me happy but cautiously optimistic because it concerns EA. And when it comes with EA, the best you can be is cautiously optimistic. Their hubris is ginormous. I mean, one of the most arrogant people I've ever seen in a company comes from EA, and that hasn't changed. However, the good news, they're pulling out their microtransactions and their loot box, at least for the time being. That's why I'm cautiously optimistic from the new Star Wars games. For those who aren't up to code with what's going on here, EA announced they were making a Star Wars Battlefront game. From the sounds of it, they were actually not going to be their usual selves, screw things up in order to try to stiff their customers out of as much money as possible to get the full experience. It was going to have a single player. It was going to have a multiplayer that was big enough to really get into without having to buy a lot of season passes and DLC. So it sounded like for the first time ever, myself would actually be interested in purchasing an EA game. In case you haven't heard, I haven't bought an EA game in 2 years, and I think the most recent EA game I probably have in my library over there is Battlefield 3. That's not the last game I purchased from them, but it is probably the most current. So I haven't been buying a lot of stuff from them lately. Let's just put it that way. So this actually excited me and got me interested. And then as the year rolled on, a year that started for a lot of people as being a really great year for gaming, all of a sudden hit another mass if you were a consumer. These big AAA companies started to put in loot boxes, which have a whole bunch of moral questions to them. If you're wondering what loot boxes are, let me explain. Microtransactions are what they are. Those are small payments. They're kind of like impulse payments. If you ever go to a grocery store and you pull up to the check stand and you see the candy on the side, those are the impulse buys. They are small buys that, unless you were really closely watching your budget, you're probably not going to notice. You're not going to budget in a 50-cent candy purchase, for example. And that's what these are. They're 50-cent candy purchases meant for you to buy something small that the developer doesn't have to take any money or time creating and put into their game. And in the past, it's been stuff that's been cosmetic, or it's been for stuff for completionists who want the really powerful weapons but don't want to farm and take off some of that grind for the people who really want to complete everything. For most gamers like myself who just want to get through the main scenarios, the main stories, these things were on the side. This year changed all that. First, starting with the NBA 2K18, just judging from that, they had a mobile-based microtransaction system in a $60 game. People were pissed because you had to take forever to upgrade your characters. Balance completely thrown out the window just so they can stiff you with microtransactions. Then Shadow of Mordor came out. from what I've heard, really great game for 3/4 of it. Then you hit that last quarter in order to get past it without several hours of tedious grinding. Gotta open your wallet and you gotta buy microtransactions through loot boxes. And then with EA Star Wars, we again got another type of mobile gaming type, which is more rewarding on the amount you play, not how well you do it, not how well they mix it up, not how giving you exactly progress, just making you play a lot, unless you're willing to pay. And that was what it was doing. And to make matters worse, they're through loot boxes. Just to explain that to a few people who might be watching it, because I do have people who watch my channel that aren't gamers. Loot boxes are basically, instead of buying that item, that 50-cent candy bar, right out the get-go, instead you, say, spend $1 on a box that might have 2 or 3 pieces of candy. But if you want a Snickers, you don't know when you're opening it up if you're going to get a Snickers, a Reese's, a Baby Ruth, a pack of Skittles. And if you're really craving a Snickers, you're going to have to purchase multiple boxes just to make sure you get that Snickers. It's freaking gambling, basically, is what it is. And the way these companies have gone about to make sure that it's always in your face, that you're always having to guard your wallet, to me, is immoral, it's exhausting, and quite frankly, I'm not going to support it. And that's what we're seeing here for the time being. But be cautiously optimistic. They're taking him out for the moment. However, EA is still going to want that extra monetization in the game. That hasn't gone away. They're going to try to put it back somehow. Wait until you see what they do. If they put it back in a way that is decent, it's not loot boxes, it's not heavy on the microtransactions, you can still enjoy the game, it doesn't break the balancing, then fine, go with it. I don't necessarily like microtransactions, but that's fine. That's not immoral. However, I wouldn't put past EA, I wouldn't put this past them at all, for them to wait just a few weeks. Wait until you're past that refund of the people who bought it on launch day, and then put it all back in. The controversy's over. No one's going to be paying attention as much. Put it back in. I wouldn't put it past EA. So people who see this and are rushing out to order it again, I advise you to be cautious. Wait until this is all over. Wait until you hear what their solution is. They might come up with a good one, but I wouldn't bet on it. This is freaking EA. In the future, though, regardless of what happens with the Star Wars, whether they actually wind up fixing it and making a really great game, or whether they end up screwing around some more and really pissing off fans, whether this lasts ends today or lasts another few weeks, here's my advice going forward with EA and any of the AAA developers. If you hear from the developers that they broke their game so they could shove microtransactions, walk away from the game. Be respectful when you post it on social media. Don't threaten anyone. Don't make an ass out of yourself. But tell people and the developers, you know, I was interested in this game until you screwed it up. I'm not purchasing it, not least until it hits that price for a mobile game, which is $5 or less. I'm not touching it unless you take that part out of the game and restore it to what it originally was. That's what needs to go on here, folks. I know what some of you are thinking, well, I'll just try to avoid it, even if I have to grind longer. That's still a win for them, and I'll explain why. And I tried to explain this in another video. I don't know how successful I was. But your computer now through Steam, your game consoles now through Xbox Live or PlayStation Network are all connected. They're all connected through the internet. They collect data on how much you play. So, if someone doesn't buy any of the microtransactions, but they play 120 hours, which is what I saw with some of these NBA 2Ks. They rated it down on Steam. They wrote a blistering review, but I saw 120 hours. I don't know how anyone can stand playing 120 hours of a game they hate. The only game I can think of that took me that long to go through one time through, and it was a game I enjoyed, was Final Fantasy 12. Okay, so I wouldn't understand why you would take that long playing a game that was that bad. But if you're spending 120 hours in front of the screen, then to 2K would say that's 120 hours we spent advertising microtransactions. You might break next time. It's still a win because I can tell my investors people are staying longer in my game, so therefore we can sell them advertisements, we can sell them microtransactions. So it's a win there. So you've got to completely stop playing these games. You've got to tell them, no, I'm not going to buy them. Period. And walk away. Hopefully, eventually, they'll get the message. If you're wondering why the AAA companies are doing this, because I want to completely get rid of the whole notion of, well, we're doing it because games cost too much. No, they don't. Here's the thing you need to know. Digital distribution has come along. Most people probably don't buy their games at GameStop anymore. Okay, we buy them on Steam, we buy them on the Xbox. I shouldn't say most, but a good chunk of them. And because of that, it's a lot cheaper to sell those games when they're digital than when you have to put them on the disc, when you have to print instruction booklets, when you have to put the disc in a case and send them out to a retailer who will charge you wholesale prices and all that stuff. Okay, so the costs on that have gone way down. So these people are actually making plenty of money now. In fact, it's a good time to be in the AAA industry. You might be a little worried about those indie games creeping up, showing there's better models than the one we're doing, but for right now, they're doing pretty good. I'll tell you why they're doing the microtransactions, though. It's to keep their investors happy, and no, I'm not saying the investors are bad people. The investors to a AAA company are the same thing as Kickstarter backers are to indie games, okay? They're there to help make sure the game companies have the money to make their games. They want a return on their investment. They want to see some success, and they want to see as much profit as possible. That's what they're into. And I don't say just on the norm that's an evil thing. The problem comes is when companies, and they oftentimes do this because it's just so easy to do this, is they put these investors before they put it before the actual paying customer and before their employees. Now, you can build a loyal customer group, okay? And you can have a whole bunch of employees that are dedicated to your cause that will stick with your company through thick and thin. When things get tough, these people are willing to come in, work less, work harder if you've treated them well and if they're invested in your vision. You can actually have that. Investors, on the other hand, they're there for their own self-interest. They have to be. They put their own money in here. They expect a profit. And the moment things get bad, to protect their assets, they're going to bail on you. That's just who they are. It's not because they're necessarily evil people, but because they have to protect their assets. There are evil people in this group. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're saints. Businessmen aren't saints, but needless to say, to see all these companies going, these investors and our stock price matter more than our customers and building these great experiences, that is completely wrong thinking. And right now, I think a lot of AAA developers don't understand just the house of sand they're kind of sitting on, okay? The more they alienate the customers and they even alienate some of their developers, because I have heard that, we had this terrific game planned, but we had to stop in order to break our system apart to figure out where we can shove microtransactions to keep these business people and the publishing side happy, and that needs to go away. Anyways, my advice forward going EA, just in case I haven't said it, because I've had to take multiple takes on this and I have kind of lost my progress on exactly what I said, but just in case I haven't said it, when it comes to EA, be cautiously optimistic, watch what they're doing, and folks, if they shove microtransactions like this into a game, they did it with another one, Needs for Speed. Just listening to some of the reviews on that one. Don't buy the game. Walk away. Tell the developer you're walking away. Be nice about it. And eventually these people will have to change. There are better models out there. If they really want to monetize these games for longer, there are ways of doing it. Okay, Nintendo's a bit behind the curve on this, and hopefully they stay behind the curve for once. But, look at what happened with Zelda Breath of the Wild. I still hear people talking about it, still hear people playing it, and it's been 9 months. What did Nintendo do? They made a terrific game up front. Okay, one of the best games for the Nintendo Switch, one of the last games for the Wii U. It took me 50 hours to play through the game, and now they're adding DLC to it. DLC to add several hours more to the game, which I've already had a fantastic time playing. Already feel like that was money well spent for it. That's what you do. You build a good game experience. And if I think it's worth experiencing more and you can add more depth to the experience by adding in extra content that actually looks like you took some time to work on it, you didn't just tear your game apart to shove something that was unneeded in, I might buy that extra digital content. But shoving these loot boxes, shoving these microtransactions, and breaking apart games to sell crap that people don't want or need, it's not going to work in the long run. It's going to cause major problems. We're already having governments in Europe taking a look at these loot box systems and deciding whether or not they're gambling. And if they decide these companies are participating in gambling, not only are they going to face heavy fines on their games, but they're also going to have these games pulled from the shelves and completely outlawed in these countries. Hopefully it happens, because the more that discourages this type of behavior, the better. In the meantime, like I said, gamers, you're consumers, you vote with your wallet. Don't buy games that are like this, okay? That's the best advice I can give you. Don't buy the loot boxes, and don't buy games with loot boxes in them. This is Tommy the Game Master signing out. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below.